Alright, let's talk about Singapore Zoo, which is apparently one of the most famous zoos in the world. It was opened in 1973 and is run by the Wildlife Reserve Singapore, which operates also Jurong Bird Park, the River Safari, and the Night Safari. I've been to all of them except the River Safari, so I can't say much on that, but you can get ticket bundles to all parks for reduced cost. This zoo had 315 species of animals, and the concept for the zoo, I think it was supposed to kind of be like the animals are in more naturalistic open exhibits with hidden barriers and moats. It didn't exactly look like the animals were in cages. So when you're kind of walking around, a lot of the animals do look like they're sort of free because the cages are quite well designed. Oh, also fun fact, it is a sister zoo to Steve Irwin's Australia Zoo. Also, they have a wildlife healthcare and research center that opened in March 2006 as part of like a wildlife conservation project to execute more research programs. And also, one of the things I noticed when I visited Singapore Zoo was that the signs, and I know I said this about Jurong Bird Park as well, but the signs were excellent. I actually took the time to read all the signs because they were very short, to the point. They had a lot of fun facts. I don't know if it was because they were targeted at kids. I must say I really enjoyed the signs, and I did end up learning a lot because they did have also exhibits on illegal wildlife animal trade and poaching, which is a problem in more rainforesty areas, especially with like Singapore's neighbors and stuff. We also did manage to see Inuka the polar bear, who has now passed away. R.I.P. Inuka.
Chomping away.
They all have funny bums.
They do. At least these ones don't look as mutated as the baboons. Having a drink. Oh, in he goes. In he goes.
Anytime today.
All in for a swim. So big.
There are huge biodome areas that house all kinds of creatures from the rainforest. So they had like this kind of open concept like dome area you could go in, and they had like some smaller monkeys in there. They had loads of birds. They had bats, lemurs and stuff that were kind of like roaming around free in there.
Wow, I've never seen a bat do that.
They also have like this open concept orangutan enclosure, so they're kind of like, I think it's like an island where the orangutans can kind of just like freely roam around. It's not like a cage or anything. I would like to take a moment to talk about conservation efforts. So actually, that 50 cents of each ticket go to wildlife conservation projects, and there are various shows aimed at education at the zoo itself. For example, there is a Rainforest Fights Back show that showcases and advocates for the fostering sustainability and ethical behaviors towards nature and wildlife. And yeah, as I mentioned earlier, there's many engaging signboards, which also, I think it's just like a Singapore thing. Like, Singapore just seems to have the best signs from any place I've gone to. And there are feeding sessions held about once a day for a couple of the species that goes, like the money you pay for that goes towards the wildlife conservation efforts as well. So I think Singapore Zoo is one of those zoos that do try to incorporate like education as well as conservation through the zoo, which again some might say is a marketing tactic, although zoos are a bit of a controversial topic sometimes. I know as someone that myself, I've always proclaimed myself as an animal lover, and since I was young, I always wanted to work with animals. So one of the first professions that I was like dead set on wanting to do was become a zookeeper, because in a kid's mind, you know, that's like a place where, you know, you're obviously interacting with animals. It was like either a zookeeper or veterinarian, a vet. Let's just call it a vet. And now that I'm doing a psychology degree, one of my tutors actually does a lot of close work with zoos, and her area of interest is animal personality, happiness, and welfare. So what she also is involved in is trying to improve happiness and welfare of the animals in zoos, you know, improving the habitats, making enclosures more naturalistic, you know, making sure there's enough like enrichments, and then seeing how personality, like individual personalities of different animals, affects their happiness in captivity, and how, you know, this could be increased like on an individual animal level, and then also how to overall increase welfare of these animals. So I mean, yeah, there is like parts of animal behavior research that can be done in zoos to promote animal happiness and welfare. And I mean, although I do agree that first and foremost animals belong in nature, you know, in their natural habitats, and I also think it's a little hypocritical because like some people come at me for like supporting zoos and stuff, when on the other hand they're supporting the animal agriculture industry and like go on and like eat a beef burger, where I'm like, where's your consistency? But okay. Overall, I had a great time. I do believe it's one of the better zoos I have visited. Like, I think a lot of effort has been put into it. Singapore in general has very high standards of pretty much everything. So everything you find in Singapore will be pretty high standard, and the zoo is no exception. So yeah, also if you've ever been to the river safari, let me know in the comments how that was, because that is the only one out of the 4 that I have not been to. So yeah, enjoy your day and thank you for watching.